Dr. Michelle Lloyd. Hello, and welcome to your Pointers for Parents podcast, where we support parents with anxiety related to teens transitioning out of the home after high school, whether they're heading off to the college campus, the military base, or it could simply be residential interdependence. Listen, I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Lloyd, and joining us today is a special guest, and I'm so excited she's here. We're going to be talking to Yvonna Graham, and she's such a blessing because she will discuss her experience with dyslexia and how those who are on that spectrum can still thrive. I'm super excited about her and her daughter's testimony. So listen, I'm just going to lean in and share with you all about her. Yvonna, she did earn her Bachelor's of Arts degree in psychology at a university in Springfield, Missouri, and her master's in special education. Neurodiversity emphasis is what she focused on at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And, you know, she started her career, if you will, over 40 years ago at an alternate high school in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Her experience with at-risk high school students convinced her that literacy is crucial to breaking cycles of failure. And she's all into literacy because, listen, she is writing her second book right now, and I am super excited. You know, when Yvonna's daughter, Alta, entered first grade, the teacher said Alta was uneducable, but could perhaps learn to wipe tables in a special classroom. Testing showed that Alta was dyslexic and possibly Asperger's. Yvonna and her husband took Alta out of school, and Yvonna returned to the university to learn about neurodiversity in education, especially in the area of reading. Alta flourished at home and eventually earned a doctorate in music and a master's in computer science. Imagine that. She currently does math and writes code that keeps the GPS satellites in orbit. That's so exciting. Yvonna took many dyslexic children, helped them to read, taught them, if you will, and started Mumbling Marmot Tutoring Agency in Durango, Colorado. Yvonna and Alta co-authored Dyslexia Toolkit, which is something that you all will want to explore. This toolkit, what to do when phonics isn't enough, and you'll want to get their expanded edition, the 2021. Yvonna currently enjoys blogging about dyslexia, and you'll want to, if you will, Google or go onto the website of www.dyslexiakit.net. And Yvonna does workshops for teachers and parent groups, as well as private consulting. So just a plethora of service that she offers others. And so listen, with no further ado, let's meet Yvonna. Yvonna, hello there. How are you?
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're excited that you're here. And you know what? I'd like to just jump right in because you have not only have you taught for those 40 years, but you've really embraced a niche that you saw was a need right in your personal space, which I admire that you're doing that, or that you did that, but yet that has become your love. So tell me, what specific challenges would you say, just overall, do students with dyslexia face when transitioning to college?
That's a wonderful question, Michelle, because it's huge for dyslexic kids. And the thing is, most parents are really helpful for their kids with dyslexia, and if they don't have the skills, they'll find somebody who does to help them. And they will also provide a support network. So whatever supports that child needs, often there's quite a lot of people that are contributing to that support. And when that student goes off to college or somewhere else, suddenly that support group evaporates, not because they want to, but because the student has moved. And so they can't just go in the living room and get some help with the reading. They have to build a whole new support group. And that's what I'd like to talk about. It can be done, and it's very satisfying. And the student gains a lot of independence, but it's got to be done intentionally. So I recommend for students, and I've walked with a lot of students as they did this transition. Some students will have a diagnosis of dyslexia or some other neurodiversity, and some students are not diagnosed. And there's a whole variety of reasons why one family would choose to seek a diagnosis and one wouldn't. But that's beside the point. These kids will go into college or somewhere else with or without a diagnosis. If they have that diagnosis, they may be able to get some accommodations at college that are helpful. But if they don't, that by no means they are out of luck. It just means they may need to seek their support in other places. The first thing to do for a student who's transitioning into college and realizes they have a reading difficulty or some other neurodiversity, first thing they should do is seek out the accessibility office. Some universities still call it the disabilities office. I think that's a misnomer. But accessibility is a much better name, and most universities have gone to that. When you find that, those are your best friends, because even if you don't have a diagnosis, they can tell you which professors are understanding and able to accommodate you. They can tell you where the best study groups are. They can tell you what the university offers as far as technological support. And this is huge, huge now, because even Harvard and Yale now supply all their students, not just diagnosed with dyslexia, but every student at Yale and Harvard is offered free software that does text-to-speech, speech-to-text, audiobooks, all kinds of supports, recorded lectures, all these supports that students may have been piecing together back home. These can be offered because of the technology that's moved forward so far now. And I would urge every student with dyslexia or any kind of learning difference to look into what the university offers, maybe before they apply, because some schools are far more progressive than others in that area.
I can really see how something like that, this newness on the college campus as it relates to new technology, or even professors who understand more and better about the different learning styles, I can understand how that can really be more exciting for a student who has challenges to actually want to go to college and actually be there, knowing that that they're supported. That really makes a difference.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
It really does. So how can parents, I'm a parent, you're a parent, how can parents and educators really support students with dyslexia as it relates to that transition? We talked about how students can, but what about parents and then also educators, if you will?
You know, I think one of the biggest things parents can do as their teen transitions into college, facing these challenges like a learning difference, is to communicate very clearly and repeatedly with that student that, first of all, they know they can be successful because they have seen them be successful in the past. And they have witnessed how hard they've worked, and recall some areas where their student has excelled and them of that, so that confidence in them. And then also let them know that they've got a landing pad if something goes wrong and they feel like, I chose the wrong school, this place is not for me, or they fail their first semester. It happens. that student needs to know it's not the end of their life. It's not the end of the world. They can come home, they can gather their thoughts, they can talk to their parents, and they can try again. Maybe somewhere else, maybe the same place, but it's never the end of the road. That message is so incredibly important because it takes the stress level down. And the worst enemy for any kid facing dyslexia or some other challenge is that fear and stress that they're going to fail. And so if parents can communicate clearly that it's impossible for them to fail, they may flunk out of some classes, they may even flunk out of university, but they will always have a home to come to, and it won't make a bit of difference in the amount of love that family has for them. If they know that deep down, it takes the stress away and they're able to be more experimental, more independent, try new things, talk to different people, and they'll more than likely be successful because they're coming from a solid foundation.
That's so good. And I can see how that message you just communicated can be impactful, whether the student has dyslexia or whether they do not.
Right. It's true of all kids. Yes. It's true of all
Right.
people.
That's true. That's true. Let's just include adults in that as well.
Yes.
That's so good. That's so good. So, Yvonna, so what strategies can help students with dyslexia develop effective time management? Now, we know that there's some life skills that they're essential to not only use at the house, but even on the college campus. Develop effective time management skills and organizational habits. It's so important. How can that happen?
Well, that's a struggle for most people when they go to college, whether they're dyslexic or some other neurodiversity or not. But I think one way is to start early. So start in high school, of course, and that would include students planning their time such that they're able to do some of the family cooking and do their own laundry and all the things they're going to have to do at college, start doing them at home. And as far as time management, that it's really quite amazing how much time, as you know, it can take if you need to buy groceries and cook and do your laundry. And that just sort of takes up a lot of what might be study time. And so depending on what the environment is going to be for that student, they need to be practicing it before. Then it's also very, very helpful to sit down with a trusted adult, whether that's a parent or a counselor or whoever, a relative, and actually work out on paper a timeline for their college studies so that they plan in not only their classes, but their study time. And if a student has dyslexia, I recommend planning twice the amount of study time as is recommended in the catalog, because it's just going to take longer. Even if you have the support of audiobooks and that sort of thing, it still takes longer to access all of those tools and use them. So planning extra time is essential, I think. And then having a plan to rework that time schedule after a couple of weeks, and then maybe after a month, because it will need adjusted. Things that you don't expect will come up, some good, some not, and you'll have to roll with the punches. And so having somebody to talk it over with, especially for dyslexic students, I find it's really important to have somebody to talk it over with out loud rather than just send them to their room to write a schedule. So having someone sit there with them, talk about what kind of time they actually need for these different activities and putting it on a piece of paper for them, and then making sure that that's working for them a week or two later. I think is extremely effective. I've seen it be a real lifesaver because it's hard for students that first semester, especially, to figure out how much time is this going to take.
I love the fact that you just mentioned about practicing it because it's only through practice can it actually become a habit.
Right.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Well, you know what? I'd like to talk about the relational aspect. When they, are now on the college campus, and we know relationships are so important. And so building strong relationships and our support system or our support network on the college campus, how can students with dyslexia do that? Because that's going to be important.
It's going to be super important.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage students to be very open and honest about any challenges they face, whether they're physical or learning differences or whatever. We all have challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But I urge students to be very open about it, but not whine. But
Mm-hmm.
as they meet new people, it's okay to say, I have dyslexia. I'll need to have extra study time and I might ask for your help, but I'm really good at whatever. I'm really good at mechanics, or I'm really good at music, or I'm really good at whatever. And I would really love to help you if I can. And, the truth is, people of all ages love to ask for help if it's not too much help, and they love to give help if it's not too much. And when people are trading help with each other and using their gifts, that's a great foundation for beautiful friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we often build our strongest friendships in college because we're working side by side with people who are interested in the same things we are. And so that's a wonderful time to build those relationships.
I love how you said, ask for help, but not too much help.
Right.
That's so true. It's so true.
You want to spread it around. Most people are just delighted to help, but you can't ask for hours and hours every week or they will burn out.
Nor all the time. So
Right.
not only spread it around amongst different people, but over a period of time as well.
Exactly.
That'll allow individuals to avoid feeling overwhelmed and then more willing to help if that's the case. So,
Right.
thinking about those resources and accommodations. Now we know that on the college campus, typically, um, and I'm uncertain, I'm unable to even think about a college that does not cater in that area. There may be different levels of help,
Right.
but are resources and accommodations there. So what is on the college campus in reference to that? Accommodations and resources.
Um, Most college campuses, well, by law, they have to offer accommodations if there's a diagnosis. But that diagnosis usually has to be within the last 3 years, and it has to be done by a psychologist or an educational consultant. So that can be expensive, and it can also be kind of intrusive, and not everybody wants to do that. So what's available outside of those accommodations, which would be extra time for tests, generally that's it, or a quiet place to take the test. That's usually not a situation that's much of a problem on a college campus. People are quiet when they're taking the test.
Hopefully. It should be.
But the extra time can be helpful if there's any writing involved. It's less and less of an issue with computers now because most of the work is done on computers, and that's great for dyslexic students. But the really great resources, really wonderful resources, are obtained by meeting the professors the first week of school. So if a student is willing to go to the during office hours to meet each of their professors before the first week is up, and explain to them that they are dyslexic, but they will be using whatever technology or support they have gathered so far to do their very best for that professor's class. They will almost always find a professor very willing to help them and accommodate them, whether they have a diagnosis or not. So meeting the professors is huge, because suddenly, instead of just one of the crowd, this becomes a student who cares about this class, who's intending to work hard, and who has the gumption to go in and meet the professor and introduce themselves and let them know what their challenges are and how they're planning to meet them.
What a way to set yourself apart.
Yes.
And along the school year, taking advantage of those from time to time office hours. Not too much, but still making sure that you're visible.
Yes, exactly.
That's so
Yeah.
important. It's so important. And then you said a key part, that I will do my best. Like you're going to get my best. It's almost like level setting. You're setting those expectations.
Yes.
You're going to get my best. So, and along those same lines, and advocating for themselves, those with dyslexia, then how can they ensure that their needs will be met? Those who need to advocate for themselves, which will be important.
It certainly will. Well, there's no guarantee in life, but you can certainly make the odds fall in your favor. And after you've met the professors and you've set up a time schedule so that you know you have enough study time, then it's a matter of putting in the hard work. And if you feel like you're starting to drown, well, you don't wait until you get completely underwater. you immediately go seeking some help, and that could be other students. It could be going into the office and seeing a professor that's in the class where you're having problems. It could be seeking out the tutoring services, which almost all universities offer. That can be a powerful support. It might be trying a new technology, like a scanning pen, or using audiobooks along with the text, which is it's called tracking, and that's a powerful way for dyslexic people of any age to up their reading level, is reading along the text while hearing it at the same time. So if students are doing that with their college texts, they're going to understand it better, and they're going to up their vocabulary, their reading vocabulary level. So there's a lot of things out there that students can do, and it's a matter of being proactive and independent and going, I'm going to figure out a way to learn this material.
Sounds to me.
Finding the way.
Absolutely. It sounds to me like making a decision and making up in your mind that, by golly, I'm going to comprehend. That scanning pen, is that a tool that's used to highlight maybe sentences as the reading takes place? Or that's interesting.
Yeah, they're kind of expensive.
Okay.
So like $300, but a lot of college students are using them now because a dyslexic student often hasn't read as much as other students, and so they're lacking some of the book vocabulary. And they may know it in spoken language, but not recognize it on the page. And so a scanning pen it looks just like a pen, but you roll it over a word or a phrase, and it will say it out loud. It's fairly simple that way. It's just a little piece of technology, a little tiny computer tucked into a pen. There are also scanning pens that are more sophisticated, that will actually record the lecture. Like, you can take it to class and you can take notes with it, but all you have to do is write a word now and then, because the pen is recording the whole lecture and can turn it into text if you want to. You just plug it into your computer and it'll turn it into notes.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there's a lot of technology help out there. Some
Mhm.
of it free, some of it expensive, like I said, but it doesn't hurt to explore some of that technology, even back in high school, to become more independent before college.
Awesome. I love that. If anyone has any questions, any listeners, then feel free to drop in the chat as Yvonna then shares with us about her book. She does have a book already written, and we'd like to hear just a little bit about it.
Sure. I can show it to you.
Ah.
This is Dyslexia Toolkit for tutors and parents, what to do when phonics is not enough. And the reason that Alta and I wrote it, Alta is my daughter with dyslexia, and the reason we wrote that is because after I had been tutoring for many years and seen so many students be successful in learning to read well, I thought, I really need to get this information out to parents and other tutors, because there's a lot of kids who don't have the advantage of learning in all these different ways. So the idea behind the book is that phonics is great, but it doesn't work for every kid. And most dyslexic students need other tools as well. So there's 27 chapters, each of them about 3 pages long, very simple. Each chapter is about one tool that any parent can just use right away. Simple, straightforward. I give the background of the tool, why it's important, a little, a reference to some more material if the parent's interested, but I try to keep it super simple so a parent can just open it and start working with their kid right then. Now, this book is aimed more at elementary and middle school, but it would work for anybody. And in fact, those same methods have been adapted and are what's being used in the second book for high school students.
Awesome. That is phenomenal. That is amazing. And you'll want to send us a picture of it so we can put it on our website for those who are interested and would like to take a peek at it. And then we'll have your link there as well so they can make a purchase just whenever you're ready. But
sure,
that is
you got
awesome.
to.
Awesome. Awesome. Any final words? This has been phenomenal, as I knew it would be. Yvonna, thank you so very much. Any final words for our audience? Maybe a website or possibly a social media handle at all?
Well, you can find me on social media occasionally. If you really want some informative blogs about dyslexia, I think mine are, and you can find them at www.dyslexiakit.net. And I think my final words are, if somebody tells you that your kid can't do this or can't do that because they're dyslexic or they're autistic or they have something else, you're the parent. Don't believe the experts. You look at your child and you decide what that child needs to be doing. If you think that the people in charge or the authorities aren't reading your child right, you're probably correct.
Thank you. Those words are more powerful than you will ever know. I have just taken notes, looking for the accessibility office when you arrive on the college campus, speaking repeatedly to our teens because they'll need to hear over and over and over again, and then making sure that that professor knows that you are going to do your best while you advocate on the college campus. You've given a plethora of sound and wise information. So Yvonna, thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who would like to, of course, listen to this recording over and over, of course, it's on Pointers for Parents podcast, and you are more than welcome to listen to it over and over again. And until next time, we appreciate you all for coming, and you all have a blessed evening. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you. Pointers for Parents Live podcast. Why should you enroll in the Ultimate Transition Success Program? Well, the modules, the interactive implementation-based modules within the program will teach you about yourself and your teen, and the new relationship that you and your teen will have both before and after transition day.